NBA players have gotten super heated during a tough match and gotten themselves ejected. So here we have the top 10 moments where these players just couldn't control themselves. First up on the list is this big guy, Shaquille O'Neal. His being on the list isn't really shocking because, have you ever seen his size? He looks like he could crush anyone in an instant. But that's what gave him the ability to destroy defenders, so who's complaining? In a game against the Bulls, Shaq was waiting for a pass from his teammates, and Brad Miller was covering him. As soon as Shaq got the ball, Miller also went for it, and there was a collision where Shaq was pushed. This added fuel to the fire since the game was already going pretty close. Shaq then almost punched Miller in the face, and the two fell to the floor. But thankfully, he was stopped by his team just in time. He was saved from a suspension, but he couldn't be saved from an ejection from the game. O'Neal's career ended with a total of 10 ejections, but that's not the most ones you'll see on this list. The next player ended his career with 11 ejections. This tough guy is none other than Stephen Jackson of the Indiana Pacers. As one of the toughest guys in the NBA, he was involved in several incidents, but we all know him for the most famous one, Malice at the Palace. Jackson got into a fight during a match against the Detroit Pistons, which resulted in a full-blown showdown between players, fans, and security. He was one of many players who were kicked out of the game. Both the players and the Pacers organization got suspended and fined for what happened. The Malice at the Palace is seen as one of the worst events in NBA history, and it negatively affected the league's brand and image. While the next player wasn't involved in something as serious, he still ended his career with 11 ejections just like Jackson. Gary Payton, also called the Glove, was very talented when it came to defense. He was also known for being competitive and having a strong personality. During his career, Payton was kicked out of a few games for arguing with referees or getting into fights with other players on the court. One of the most famous times was when the Los Angeles Lakers and the Indiana Pacers were playing in the NBA Finals in 2000. Payton was arguing with an official, so he got a technical foul and was kicked out of the game. Even though Payton wasn't there, the Pacers kept fighting and made a strong push against the Lakers. However, they lost the series in the end. Payton's ejection changed the course of the series and added to his reputation as a fierce competitor and fiery player. He may have an uncontrollable temper, but he was one of the greatest point guards in the NBA. The next player is also very talented, but unfortunately, he was also part of the big Malice at the Palace incident. Meta World Peace was one of the players who got the most aggressive during this incident. He even went so far as to going into the stands and fighting with a fan. This got him kicked off the team for a few games, and he had to do community service as well. Other than this, his attitude got him into trouble several more times too. World Peace got into a few fights during his career on the court and was kicked out of a few games for fighting with opponents or arguing with referees. While his on-court behavior wasn't exactly the best, he was a talented player and contributed a lot to the Lakers championship in 2010. Speaking of aggressive players, the next one on the list is Reggie Miller, who had a special skill for getting under people's skin. While he was a talented shooter, one of the best in the league, he had many incidents which led to 12 ejections throughout his career. One of these ejections was in the mid-1990s during a match between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Miller and Knicks player John Starks got into a fight on the court, and both of them were thrown out of the game. The fight made the rivalry between the two teams even worse, and Miller's reputation as a fierce competitor and clutch performer grew even stronger. But despite this, his shooting talent can't be denied. He's probably one of the most underrated NBA players, along with Kenyon Martin, one of the most explosive and powerful players in the league. Martin began his career strong. He soon became well-known and loved during his time playing for the Nets. His ability to dunk often got him a lot of attention and praise, but that wasn't the only thing that he was known for. One of the most notable ejections of his career occurred during a game between the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs in the early 2000s. Martin was involved in an altercation with Spurs player Tim Duncan and was ejected from the game for his actions. Despite this incident, Martin had a successful career and was a key contributor to several winning teams. Joining him among the top ejections in this list, we have DeMarcus Cousins. Known for letting his emotions get the better of him,
switch it at the buzzer. What a finish. And DeMarcus Cousins, we had to wait and see it the glory. I'll tell you what,
Mason Plumlee's just trying to get his game.
Gage got 14. Cousins, look at the big man taking inside.
Cousins had 14 ejections by the time he retired. He played for several teams, such as the Warriors, the Pelicans, and the Kings throughout his career. Not only was he aggressive on the court, but he was also pretty aggressive off it too. He even got one ejection from the bench during his time with the Warriors. He's one of the top ones on the list, but I can't end just yet. I haven't gotten to the most iconic ones yet. Now we have Stephen Curry getting ejected for throwing his mouth guard in the stands.
Ahead to Curry. Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang! Steph Curry from way downtown.
Here at Oracle. Curry spins, lost the ball, dribbles, 8 to shoot, crossover, sticks a 3 in front of the Cavs bench. It's good.
Back left hand crossovers, fades and fires. Oh my goodness! Curry with another 3. The Warriors have a 10-point
Butler is on Curry, well outside the arc near side. Curry behind the back a couple of times, crosses over, steps right, tough contested 3. Steph Curry buries it. Incredible.
Although Curry isn't known for getting too aggressive, he still had his moments where he lost control. During a game against the Grizzlies, there was a little time left on the clock and Curry was open. He motioned Poole to pass the ball to him, but Poole attempted a long three-pointer instead, which he didn't make. Curry got emotional in the moment, and in a fit of anger and frustration, he threw his mouth guard into the stands. The league charged him a fine of $25,000 for this, and he was ejected from the game. Now, this next top player's ejection might not be as surprising as Curry's, but it's still shocking regardless. During a match between the Lakers and the Pistons, LeBron James was ejected after he got into a fight with Isaiah Stewart of the Detroit Pistons.
Around the rim and LeBron over there.
Picked up by Horton Tucker, and a pitch ahead to Westbrook. Westbrook feeds James.
Just how he is able to find ways. Every now and then this game shows you something that you just have to do.
Two in a row. 4 on 2. LeBron.
James got pretty aggressive after the two fought for an incoming rebound, and their scuffle ended with Stewart bleeding above his right eye. After he noticed that he was bleeding, he got pretty pissed, and during his attempts to get back at James, ended up getting 2 technical fouls himself. This didn't end well for either one of them, but thankfully it didn't have any long-term impacts on their career. That's more than I can say for the next player on the list. Now we have the player with the highest number of ejections in league history, Rasheed Wallace. While he was a great player and even helped the Pistons reach the championship, he might have gotten too aggressive on several occasions. In the early 2000s, he was thrown out of a game between the Detroit Pistons and the Miami Heat. This was one of the most famous times he was kicked off the court. Wallace was kicked out of the game for arguing with a referee, which led to a heated argument between the two teams. He also holds the record for the most technical fouls in the NBA and in a single season. Wow, these players really need to calm down. That's it for the top ejection moments of NBA players. We'll see you in the next video.